Since around mid-May this year, I've brought in 13 new books. Of those, 6 of them were ARCs from the lovely folks over at Book Break. The others, 7 of them, I bought. 6 of them I bought, but the 7th I paid for the postage because the lovely Hannah from Ladder M gave me her unhaul. So I've only read 3 so far. In total I paid £64.15 for these 13 books as a whole, obviously for the 7, but that's how much this whole haul cost me. And when they break down the stats, I'm not going to hold each individual book up like I used to, I'm getting lazy, but I have got 5 non-fiction books, 1 mystery, 4 sci-fi books, 1 fantasy and 2 historical. I think that is a very interesting breakdown, if you know what I usually read. So, on top of all of that, and not included in any of those stats, is that I also got a load of the free Comic Book Day 2026 comics. It was my lovely partner, Mr. Pellinor, that picked these up for me when he was in town. I've read 4 of these so far. I have not counted how many there are, and they're not officially on my TBR, because they're very, very quick to read. So I'm just going to blast through these so that we have a record of them as well. So we have Mega Man Showdown Special, Supernatural, World of Archie, Energon Universe, Conan Tides of the Tyrant King, Spidey Amazing Friends, Blue Lock, Stitch, Aquamanatee, The Nice House on the Lake, Sonic the Hedgehog, Next Level, a different Sonic the Hedgehog, Suthal of the Dusk, and Avatar Legends. I know this is more than most people are able to get at the free Comic Book Day. Ironically, my other half went at the end of the day to Travelling Man just to see what they had left, and they had quite a few, and it was so close to closing that they just said he could take one of all of them. So I'm very, very grateful both to Travelling Man and to my partner for grabbing all of these, because whilst I don't read a lot of comics, because it is difficult to justify financially paying so much for something that I'm going to read for such a short amount of time, I do enjoy reading them. And also, I fully understand why comics are the price that they are. The artists and the writers all deserve to be paid for the art that they're creating. It's just a personal financial decision. Those are the comics. Try and shove them back somewhere. In you go. Squeezy squeezy. Okay, and fuck. My shelves are a mess. Anyway, let's delve in to the books themselves. I have put these all in order as I acquired them. So let's dive straight in. We have Dead Famous by Greg Jenner. This is one of the books that I have read, and this was gotten at one of his book talks that also he then had a signing session. They came to York, I say they, the next one's also from Book Talks, came to York for the Roman History weekend, and so did a very interesting talk on that, and of course I wanted to pick this up. It is all about the history of celebrity and of fame and how far back we can really go and call someone a celebrity, but also the similarities between celebrities then and what we consider to be the modern vapidness of celebrities now, and how it's not actually that different. Then 3 books from the other author that came and did a talk, and that is Terry Deary. Are we surprised? No. I have Revolting, which I've not read yet, and that is a non-fiction. A murder mystery, a fiction book, and that is Actually I'm a Murderer. And then the one book so far that I have read out of these, and that is A History of Britain in 10 Enemies, which he said at the talk he actually wanted to call Cruel Britannia and wasn't able to by the publishers. So this was really, really interesting. It has different countries in the world, sometimes regions depending on historical context, for how Britain interacted with them, the battles, the wars, the issues that Britain had with them. It's very, very interesting. There's Ireland, and he does not shy away from what we did, Russia, the Dutch Empire, France, come on, Scandinavia as a whole region, Saxony, Italy, and the introduction. So, and Italy goes as far back as ancient Rome, so that gives you a vague idea of the timescale of these. I was very, very excited to meet Terry Deary. He is a northern lad, always exciting, and on top of that, he of course wrote Horrible Histories, was in some of the episodes of the TV adaptation, did the audiobooks. He is such an entertaining author. Okay, then for one that was gifted to me by the lovely folks over at Book Break, and that is The Haunting of a Bronte by Amelia Blackwell, the second book in the Miss Darcy Investigates series, and I really enjoyed this. The first one was A Crime in Time, or A Crime Through Time, and in that book we follow a young woman, a girl, in Georgian Britain, and she picks up a Motorola pager. It beeps at her and she's like, well, what the fuck is this? Presses the button and ends up in the 90s, and she's trying to help a young man in the 90s who she has an interest in, solve this mystery of someone who has gone missing and seems to have been murdered. This is book 2. She goes to a different time frame instead. She goes to 1845, which is probably more difficult because going so far in the future, you're obviously just wearing a costume, it's fine, but going so close but also far enough is like, why are you dressing so outdated? So this was really, really interesting. It's one of the ones that I've read. I really like the series. It's just so much fun. It's a blast. It is really, the pages turn themselves, but it's so interesting. And as far as I know, the historical research is all accurate, as far as I can tell. I'm not an expert on those time periods, but I haven't picked up any issues. Then a book I got myself at a charity shop, which I don't do very often now. But I couldn't resist one. This is H is for Hawk by Helen Macdonald. I read Owls of the Eastern Ice. What was it? Owls of the Eastern Ice? Oh, look at me, remembering things. It's just here. So yes, Owls of the Eastern Ice by Jonathan C. Slaught. And this was gifted to me by the lovely Carrie from Caring for Books. And let me pop that down. And there were a lot of recommendations of if you enjoyed that book, you would like H is for Hawk. So I put it on my Amazon wishlist and then saw it in a charity shop and was like, well, that is immediately coming home with me. This is a non-fiction all about hawks, about reintroducing them back into the environment, making sure that they have a place in the ecology of where they are from to thrive. It is an unflinchingly honest account of Macdonald's struggle with grief during a difficult process of hawk taming and her own untaming. So I'm very excited for this one. Then we go back into some arcs. All of the arcs mentioned are from the folks over at Book Break, and I am very, very grateful for everything that they send me. So I've read one more of the books on these piles. So, not this one, Bodies of Magic by Freya Marske. I am reading this in August, the month that this video goes up, so I should hopefully be a solid way through this when you see the video. I'm just pre-filming it. And this is a dark academia, do no harm, so it's a medical school. They go through this academy and at the end they have to do this big exam over like 5 days to pass to go out into the world. And there is a murder on their first day, and so not only are they trying to pass this incredibly difficult exam, but they are also trying to solve the murder and why they were murdered. I am very excited for this dark academia. It comes out in September, so I need to get to it. It's going to be so good. I've really enjoyed the books I've read from Freya Marske so far. Then the last one of the stack that I have already read, and that is A Thread of Light by Neema Shah. This is set in London in 1941 during the Blitz, but instead of focusing on that, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty heavy part of what's going on. It has to be. But instead, this book actually focuses on the fight for Indian independence from Britain and how this impacted people who were living in London who were Indian during the Second World War. Because of course, many white Brits are saying, why are you doing this now? We're focusing on the World War that we're in. And the Indians are saying, yes, but you're still subjugating us. Very interesting, lots of topics to talk about, two very fascinating and very different points of view. Ruby is an ARP warden, Kitty is a barrister who, being a woman and being Indian, of course is not getting any work, but they are two very bright and intelligent women in different ways, and seeing them interact with everything that's going on, both with the Indian independence but then obviously with the background of World War II happening at the same time. Really interesting little book. Then Gentle Things by Danielle Giles. Obviously, not read this one yet. It is set in 1668. We follow a woman named Lucy. Her father's recent death has left her mother saddled with debts she cannot pay. Lucy must marry the first man willing to take her without a dowry. She falls in love with the first man who does agree to take her, but unfortunately things are not as they seem. She is then confined to her bedroom after an injury, and her dreams refuse to leave her at daybreak. As her new husband plies her with tinctures and cures, a creeping fear takes root. Has this marriage saved her, or will it bring about her end? This has so much potential, and I am very intrigued. Then stepping away from the arcs for a moment, and we have Artemis by Andy Weir. This is I believe the third book that he's published, and I've read the other two and gave them both 5 stars. This was sent to me by the lovely Hannah from her Unhaul, and I had avoided this one because I've heard it's the worst. This is about a woman, I believe it's a hijabi woman, and apparently from what I've seen online, Weir does not write women well. However, I gave 5 stars to The Martian, I gave 5 stars to Project Hail Mary. I'm willing to give it a chance, and additionally, the 2 studios that made those films have seen how successful they are and want to do Artemis, and apparently Weir has said that he's taken on board the feedback and that he's wanting to work with script writers and also do some work himself to improve the story for then depiction in film. So it's pretty short. I get on with his writing, we shall see. I'm going to give it a shot. Back to a couple of arcs now before our final book. We have Ply by Hernan Diaz, and this is a book where they are trying to steal electricity. Obviously I've not read this yet. Centuries from now, an orphan adrift in an American city grows up to be a pincher, where you steal electricity from the grid to power the downtown music scene that she adores. So this is dystopian, set in a bleak future. I'm very curious. Obviously shit goes wrong, of course it does, and I'm very curious to see what goes wrong and how they potentially get out of it. A non-fiction, and that is The Inflamation Solution by Perrine. This is in my August TBR, and I was very honest in that I'm currently a bit sceptical. I would love this to work. I've been bloated my whole life as far as I can remember, so heal your gut, Inflammation Solution. However, I want to see the science behind it. I will give things a shot, I will try them out, but I want to see the actual science. I will be checking the references, because as Connor Stepanto said in a comment on my August TBR, these authors are very good at making themselves sound like they are the voice of this topic, whereas sometimes they are correct and they have wonderful insights, and sometimes they don't. So I'm very curious where this is going to fall. Even though this is an arc, I am going to be truthful about it, because that's what I would want if I was you watching. And then the last book that I got, and that is Platform Decay by Martha Wells, the most recent Murderbot book. I've been holding off on this. I was in such a slump at the end of the month in July and struggling to get through books that I was really enjoying, so I didn't want to then try and read this and put myself in even more of a slump and then potentially not enjoy it. We all know how much I love Murderbot. If you don't know Murderbot, I say the same spiel every single time I talk about it. So Murderbot, All Systems Red is the first book, and we are following a security unit that has been able to hack its governance module and is no longer then forced to follow the company's demands. However, instead of going on a killing spree or doing anything like that, they download a load of soap operas and prefer to watch those, helping out the idiot humans they've been hired to care for or be security for when they inevitably get into mistakes. There is a lot more that happens. Obviously this is book 7 in the novella. That is just the beginning of book 1, but this sci-fi series is amazing. Everyone loves it, and I am on that bandwagon. I fucking adore this series. I've reread lots of the books multiple times. I want to reread them again. They are just absolutely perfect snippets of sci-fi. I love them so much. And now that I've finished selling you the Murderbot books, these are all of the novels and non-fictions that I have picked up since around the middle of May. And I've only read 3 of them, which is not great, but I will hopefully have, well, I've got 3 of these on my August TBR, and I'll probably read Platform Decay sooner rather than later. So I should be making a decent dent in these. Please let me know down in the comments below which of them I should start first, because I don't know what to read. Obviously, by the time you see this, it's part of the way through August, so the ones that are on my TBR I will hopefully have made a start in at least. But for the others, let me know what I should prioritise and what you think is going to be the most interesting. Thank you so much for watching, folks. We will see how many books I haul in next time, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!